Hey, it's Drybear, back again with another beginner's guide, and today we're going to be talking about the Outlast Trials, which just launched in early access from Red Barrel. You might know them as the creators of the Outlast series, and this is their recent foray into multiplayer. And surprisingly, the game is mega fun. So today I'm going to go over all the mechanics in the game, everything you need to be aware of so you can jump into the game and know everything you need to know to get started and have fun with you or with your friends. But first, you should come hang out with me on my live stream. I'm live every day on twitch.tv/Drybear. If you don't come hang out with me in the community, then the next time Wiener Wallace grabs you in Outlast Trials, it's going to be a fresh, hot zoom in on the Nether region. All right, let's get after it. We're going to start in chronological order so that you know the process of events. We'll get into the gameplay in a second, but this is going to be the lobby that you go into. Similar to Battle Royale games, you have this shared game lobby. You'll have a couple players in here that you'll be running around with, and this is where all your vendors and progression vendors and unlocks are going to be, and a terminal for launching matches. If you really want to, you can sit down and do arm wrestling with random players or with your friends. The way this works is when you sit down, all you have to do is hit the red markers as it goes around, hit the skill checks, and you'll be able to win the arm wrestling match. Around the lobby, as you progress and upgrade your character level itself is going to go up. You're going to be able to unlock more rigs and tools for yourself at the engineer. So from the main lobby, if you go left, you'll see engineer on the ground. Follow this red line all the way to the engineer. And this is where you unlock and upgrade your rigs. There are 4 rigs to choose from. A stun grenade, which when you throw it, stuns everyone in a small area. The smoke grenade, which is my personal favorite. It is a landmine you place on the ground. When an enemy triggers it, it creates a smoke screen, which stuns them and kills aggro. This is excellent for escaping or doing a stand-in-place objective. I love this one. It's my favorite. Heal is probably the most necessary out of all these. You create a ring around yourself that heals you and nearby allies for over time, and you can fully refresh everyone in your party for HP. On higher difficulties and the challenge modes, this is necessary. You have to have at least 1 heal in your party. And then X-ray is kind of cool. What it does is it pulses a sonar or UAV for you and for everyone in your party that lets people know where enemies are, and it does work through walls. So that's probably the least ones. I would say that in general, you probably want 1 smoke landmine and 1 heal in every party, and then you can double up on whatever you want. And when you do your loadouts, you can actually specify what rig you want to have equipped. And the upgrades for them are incredibly good. Things like being able to have the landmine go off twice. When you run through the landmine, the smoke screen, you get adrenaline, which means you have infinite stamina and you run faster. Insane upgrades. So that's where that starts. You'll be using upgrades from, if you can see here on the top left, from this area here, you see how these green tickets, these vouchers, you get these for leveling up, and as you level up, you'll use those for upgrades. But the engineer is not the only place you can spend them. The other option is going to be the pharmacy, and these are going to be your permanent character upgrades. I'll let you know which of these are the most important, but there's a lot of amazing ones in here. So you want to probably unlock your first rig, pick one, and then upgrade it a couple times because the value there is really high. And then make sure you're getting these upgrades at the pharmacy, which is where you spawn in. There's 2 tiers right now in early access, and many of these are very good. The ones that you really want to focus on getting are Kick to Help, Lifesaver, and Self-Defense Technique. What these allow you to do is that if you get grabbed for any reason by a mob, you can very easily break them out if you have a melee weapon attached. You can break yourself out of it without taking damage. Very good, especially for the Skinner Man that applies the psychosis debuff to you. You don't want that on the high difficulties. Kick to Help means that when a teammate is grabbed, you can run up and left click to knock that enemy away, which saves your teammate. Very important. And Lifesaver is the extended version of this, is that when you have a teammate that is incapacitated on the ground, you can run up and kick the enemy that is executing them, which is killing them and finishing them off. Very important that you have all these. There's also ones you can rush through doors. You have small regeneration. The combat slide is really nice. And then when you go into tier 2, there's some really good ones like being able to have 4 slots in your inventory instead of 3. There's ones where you can break doors in 2 hits instead of 1. And then there's even some perks that you can get that are super important as well. So that's one spot to think about for the pharmacy. We're going to go upstairs now and look at the amps, which you can think of as just combat perks. These go alongside your rigs in your loadout, and when you pick these up, you will be able to get some really cool bonuses as well. This one unlocks at player level 10. So you won't get this right away when you're first playing, but keep in mind that this is here. And again, when you go into the loadout, it's going to be your amps located here on the left side. You want to make sure you get these. And you'll talk to this shady lady up here on top. Really awesome ones, things that like your stamina recovers faster in hiding spots. The first one's probably one of the best ones. You can walk on broken glass without making any noise, which means sound traps don't trigger enemies if they're on the ground. You have to have the cans that go for that. So those are all your upgrades, your progression, reasons to progress and get higher and higher level. And of course, you can have your own little room that you can customize and unlock trophies and bed sheets and wallpapers and things like that. Customize it however you want. You can come in here and you can customize your room using this. You can even go to the mirror and re-customize your character if you want, getting full skins, profiles, all that kind of stuff. So they have that cool stuff. So let's jump into a game and talk about the game mechanics and what to think about as you're playing the game. So when you're in the lobby and you're in a group, if you want to play the game, you come up to this terminal and you activate it. On the left side is going to be your selected a trial. There are currently 3 maps in the game. The prison, the fun park, and the orphanage are the 3. And once you fully complete all 3 of these maps, you'll unlock the hard mode, challenge mode, which is just going to be, it's like a roguelite of all these 3 maps with crazy modifiers, making enemies stronger, traps everywhere, doors are broken, that sort of thing. It's like your end game progression is getting to program X. But for each of these, you're going to be going through and clearing all of these. You get a personal score and a group score when you play, and you'll have objectives here. You get a one-time bonus for finishing on A+. So once you get that, you get some cash, which you can use for upgrades and skins and things like that, which is pretty cool. So get through all of these. Note that as you get to towards the end, you'll get these modifiers like more enemies in the trial, trials filled with traps, extra barricaded doors, all that kind of stuff. So that there's ways to kind of, like a roguelike, you'll have that going. So what I recommend doing is just as you learn these levels, go through all of them and get them completely done, and then go to the next one and get it completely done. That way, when it's fresh in your mind, you can finish it. And there's little mini maps in the area. Each map has like 3 subsections. You'll start in one subsection, do a different one, and then do all 3 of them in some cases just to scale that up. And they all have different enemies and different bonuses. So you'll select whatever trial you want to do. Let's start with the prison because this is the one that you have access to right away with the first one here. And let's go through some of the game mechanics that you want to be aware of. Before we jump into that, actually, let's look at group finding. When you have the terminal open, this is where you do your party making. You go to terminal. If you want to add people, you can click on this button to add people, just like any online game. But if you want to matchmake, you can also do that. Group finder is here. You just kind of queue up. This will either put you in a party or it will put people in your party based on your preferences. So if you want to be party leader, you might have to remake a few times. If you ever want to leave a party, you just press S up here in the top left. That's going to be this little marker right here. And then you can leave and join and do stuff like that. But let's jump into a police trial and look at the mechanics of the game. Your loading zones are going to be these little tubular rotation things here. So when the trial starts, you'll have these open. You just go inside, get all the way inside, and it'll close on you and do a loading screen. And there's actually parts of the level where you have to go through these as checkpoints. So just be aware that when you see these rotating doors, those are your major checkpoints. Go into this area. This is where you start the trial. I don't know why they have 2 loading lobbies, but there's a second one here. Go here, sit down, and then you'll see some kind of wicked, disgusting visuals, and the map will start. Let's talk about UI. You've loaded into the game. What's going on here? There's going to be objectives in the top left. You can press tab to reveal that if you need to. It'll auto hide by default. And then you're going to have your items in the bottom right. So if you want to bring this up your inventory, you can cycle through these. Left click will be able to utilize it, and then right click puts it down or activates it, whatever the item is. And we'll go through items in just a second. You'll also have a green meter and a red meter for your HP. Let's talk about settings here, because I think this is very important. We'll do this so we can just show you. You'll have your health down at the bottom. That is the red bar. That'll go down when you take damage. And the green bar is your psychosis meter. It is a debuff that we'll talk about in just a second. It is pretty nasty, and you need to find an antidote to get rid of, and is really annoying to deal with. So first thing before you start playing, I recommend changing these settings because this has made a huge difference for me. There's auto hide options and all that stuff, but the one thing that I would have here is turn on the noise indicator display. This is off by default. I don't know why. It should be on by default because it's so important. What this does is that when you're playing the game, if you look at my reticle, my crosshair in the middle, when I walk, it gives me minor sounds. When I run, it doubles up and shows me. So you see those rings, those little circles going, those little parentheses on the outside? That tells me how much noise I'm making, and then tells me if I'm triggering. And also, if we have an enemy that sees me, that can aggro, those circles, those little parentheses will turn red, which means that if I know if I'm running and an enemy has registered my sound, it turns red, I know right away. I don't know why this is off by default. It definitely shouldn't be. So that's going to be that option there. The other option that I would recommend turning on as well is the darkness indicator display. When you're hiding in pure blackness, it will tell you in the bottom right by showing a moon or a light. So when you have that option available, you see how it turned to a moon when I hide? That means that enemies can't see me right now. In rooms that are pitch black, when you have that moon symbol, it means that if you don't make any noise, they can't aggro you. You are invisible for all intents and purposes. And it's very important that you know when that is on and off. And again, I don't know why it's off by default, but I recommend turning it on. And it also will show you light and other options there. So those are your UI elements. For gameplay, remember left click, right click for your items. F brings up your night vision. At the top of the screen, you can see there is a bar that is the battery for your night vision. What's cool about this is that when the battery runs out for your night vision, it doesn't go away completely. You will be able to still have some light. It's just a lot less bright, which is pretty nice. We got Wiener Wallace is coming over here trying to say hello. So you want to put this down. This helps you see, and then you want to turn it off when you don't need it so that you're able to kind of get away. I don't know why Wiener Wallace is here. By the way, I call this guy Wiener Wallace because he's naked and you can see his wiener. I don't know why. Outlast always just has nudity and genitalia. It just is what it is. But Wiener Wallace just likes to come around. He's very strong and very powerful, and a big scary enemy. So that's going to be that there. Turn on your night vision to see and that sort of thing. And then you're going to be going around the map collecting items. One of the most important items that you can pick up, if this guy leaves me alone, is going to be combat items. So bottles, and he's here. So you see how when I'm running, it's turning red and showing you that he's attacking me here. So that way I can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a smoke grenade so that he stops hitting me. So that we can get through this and talk about it. And some of the enemies are too big to fit through obstacles. So you can kind of kite them around, crouch spots and things like that. But let's let him hit the smoke bomb. You see how the smoke bomb is here, and now I can be right in front of Wiener Wallace, and there's nothing he can do. He can't aggro me, he doesn't attack, there's nothing he does. That's just the power of the smoke grenade. Very good for objective-based gameplay. So you pick up combat items like bottles and bricks. These you can right-click to aim, and then you can throw them to stun enemies, and you can also throw them at traps to disable them. Super important, the bottle itself has one use, it breaks on use, and the brick is even better. It allows you to use it twice before it fully breaks and goes away forever. Another thing to highlight again, when you see in the bottom right, you see I have a moon icon. When I'm sitting in the pitch black like this, I'm actually more or less invisible. They can walk around, they won't see me as long as they don't make noise, and because we turned on the noise indicator, we know when we're doing that. So if I'm crouching and moving around, then I don't have to worry about that as much. You want to have that icon so you can know when you're hiding in the dark, or when you're hiding here, you can see it turns on as well. So we have that ability to hide and avoid detection when there's enemies everywhere. Let's talk about doors. Doors have many different states that you can deal with. They can be barricaded, they can be trapped, they can be locked, they can be blocked, or they can be broken. You have to kind of deal with all those as you go along. So one thing you have to remember is that enemies cannot go through doors without breaking them or kicking them open. So if you see an enemy that's coming along, you may want to shut the door behind you and make them kick it open in order to come towards you, and then use the darkness to your advantage. However, doors can also be trapped and locked. So if you see this little lock on the top left of the door, that means that it can be locked. So you can actually lock it, and lock it means that they have to unlock it or break it. Stronger enemies can break it open very easily, but it also can be locked on one side and you won't be able to go through. Some doors as well can be trapped. You'll see a red box on the side blinking red, letting you know that it's trapped. If you run through it, while standing, you will be impaled and you'll start collecting your debuff, the psychosis. So to avoid that, you can either open the door while crouched. This will actually remove the trap without you getting hit by it. You can see by that red icon, I saw that me opening that door triggered him. So we heard that. You can also hold left click when you go up to a door to open it slowly and peek through it. This also will not trigger the trap that's on the door. So if you want to do that, just go up to it and hold left click and then just kind of tap forward and you'll slowly inch it open if you want to peek through it or make no noise or not trigger the trap. So that's how doors work. There's also doors that you have to hold open for teammates. And luckily for you, there's a very easy way to deal with those. You actually don't even need someone else to hold it open for you because it stays open for you in general. On top of that, we also have these doors that are kind of shortcut doors with these crossed red or orange and black lines. You have to go around the side and open these from the other side to make them openable. They cannot be broken open as all. You will have doors that are barricaded or completely blocked. To break through these, you need to bash them. The challenge with this is unupgraded. It takes 3 bashes to get through it. There's a brick. We love bricks. Best item in the game. So in order to break it open, you have to bash it. You might find doors that are fully locked, especially ones that are locked on the other side. You have to kick them open to get through. You can get an upgrade later that allows you to have 2 kicks instead of 3. But we know that when we bash this, we're going to make a lot of noise. And so Wiener Wallace is probably going to detect that and come over here. But we're going to kind of bash through this. You just have to keep left clicking until you get through. Boom, you're through. And that's how you get through those. You'll find many of those. You'll even find ones that require 2 players in order to break open. And they'll usually be double doors that are fully barricaded. And to deal with that, you just need to get another player to co-op with you to do a co-op action. If your battery starts running low, these are what the batteries look like. There's small and large batteries that you can pick up. You swap for the item and then you right click to consume it, and that will give you more of your night vision battery, which is very easy. There's also many different ways to heal. There's small bottles, large bottles, and health boosters, which are the most common. You pick these up and drink them. The small bottles give you 1 bar of health. The large bottles will fully heal you. And then the health boosters, which are usually only found in secret rooms, give you a full heal plus an extra bar for the rest of the game, which is super useful. Sometimes you run into these little screechers. They just run around. They don't attack you, but what they do is they yell, and you can see I can't really move my character. It's a big AoE CC. You want to avoid these at all costs and just kind of be away from them in case enemies like this show up. This is a great opportunity to show you the weapons. So when we aggro him, when he comes towards us, if we ever get into a pinch, we can throw and hit him with a bottle or a brick, and that'll stun him. We can still use items when we're being CC'd by the screecher, but we definitely need to kind of be careful about when we get stuck behind them. You can see that, again, the sound notifier is showing me it's red, so I know that I'm being chased right now. I can come over here, shut the door, and I'm good to go. If an enemy does not have clear line of sight on you, you can jump in and hide places, which is super useful as well, just to kind of keep things moving. So you can kind of stun them, run away. If they don't see where you're going, you can go in, you can hide, and then jump inside. As long as they don't see you, they shouldn't come check. But if they do see you doing it, they'll kind of pull you out and check for it. So they are kind of right there looking for me. If you feel frisky, you can actually peek out by leaning in order to see if they're there. But I would recommend being careful, because if you are peeking when they look out, you actually will be seen and they'll come get you. So that is something to be aware of. And since we're talking about it, you can also peek. So you can lean with Q and E to look around corners. Enemies can see you this way. They just have a slightly limited line of sight when you're doing it. So it's a nice way to kind of peek around to see if there's anything around the corner. You'll also run into many traps that you'll find around the level. This one is actually for giving you psychosis. So we're going to step on it and show you just how much psychosis sucks. On the lower difficulties, it's not too bad, but higher it gets worse. So when you step on this directly, it'll show a bunch of gas and give you psychosis. Psychosis is a debuff that has 3 stages to it, and denoted by the bars down at the bottom of the screen. So when you have 1 gone, it starts to mess with your vision. When you have 2, it really messes with your vision. And when you get full psychosis, it means that the whole world starts spinning, but also illusions will spawn that come towards you and damage you. When you get full psychosis, it will time out, which means as long as you stay away from those illusions for 20, 25 seconds, it'll fade away on its own. And in some cases, you may want to get full psychosis just to get rid of it, so it times out. And the only way to remove psychosis, so there's one of the illusions now, but I'm only tier 2 madness, so they don't hurt me. But this will keep going on until you remove it. The only way to remove psychosis is either to get full psychosis and then let it time out, or to find antidotes around the level and actually utilize them. We are here at the first co-op option here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna call for someone to come help us. So this one here, I'm actually gonna hold. You'll get plenty of these co-op options here. You mill mouse to click to let someone know that you want to, but this is how you get through the first objective of the game. You have to co-op, which means someone has to stand here, hold their hand out. Someone has to come and take the hand, and then you grab them and you throw them up over. They go inside and they open that door and get it open and get through. So that's one of the ways you can get those. There's gonna be plenty of co-op options for you as you progress through the game that are really just focused on making sure you work together. Most of the levels are not completable by yourself. You also find these horrible patrons in hiding spots, barrels, underneath desks, underneath tables, inside lockers. You'll hear them passively as they're hanging out right here, and these will just trigger and grab you if you get too close. So let's trigger it. If I try to hide, she'll grab me, knock me down. And to get through any of these yellow exclamation points in the middle of your screen, you just have to spam left click, get through it, and you'll break through it. You notice she did do damage to me. So that one's pretty annoying, but just keep in mind that these are here. And you can also ping these for your teammates by middle clicking on them so that they know that they're there, but that's what you're kind of working towards. So those are the options for co-op and for other things. You can even ping enemies. I like doing this when I'm playing so people know where the enemies are. If a teammate ever dies, there are resuscitation injectors, which means if they first, when you get damaged and you go down, you'll be incapacitated. You crawl around, your teammates can pick you up and get you back on your feet. If you get either you bleed out or an enemy comes and executes you, you'll be dead, but you can be revived by using one of those injectors that are on the walls throughout the level. So if you're dead, you're not completely out. Your teammates can get you back into the game if you need to. And if you're playing solo on the levels that can be done solo, you'll be able to have respawns for that, which is pretty nice. You do have co-op doors like these that someone has to hold open. You can just crawl under while they're holding it open. But what's cool about them is you see they do stay open for a few seconds. So you can open these for yourself. You can hold the lift it up, and then just walk under as it's moving, and then you'll be able to be just fine. If you're ever in a situation like this where you're holding something, you can look left and right, but you can also lean and look, which means you can look directly behind you. You can do this while you're running as well. So if you see enemies that are coming your way while you're doing something, you can peek and look at that while we're moving along. You'll find objectives like generators. You have to fill these up, fill them up, and then do the piece here. And we finally have full actual psychosis here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run away. You see this little illusion that chases me permanently. If he stays near me, I take damage, which is not good. But now that it's full psychosis, we'll get these antidotes that appear on the map, and we'll get a marker for it. You can see how everything's all distorted and really annoying. But we just have to make sure that that guy never gets too close to us. And we can also just run away until it times out. But I'm just going to take this antidote, which will refresh. He'll disappear, and we'll be good to go. So that is the psychosis debuff. Be very aware of it. On high difficulties, on the challenge modes, it hurts really bad and can kill you very fast. So you want to be very careful about dealing with that. Also, anything you open can have gas in it that can really just mess you up. You can also run into the Skinner Man, which has this little gas here. If he grabs you, he'll give you full psychosis by hitting you, which is really annoying. So you want to avoid him if you possibly can. And I just ran into a screecher behind me. Hang on. Hang on. To do the generators, you just have to fill up the tank, do the puzzles on the left and right side, and then do the mini game here. These just work by finding there's one of these switches that you hit with 2, and if you hit 2 of them, you'll be able to do it. And Coil here just really likes to be part of everything, so he's hanging out. But these are pretty straightforward to pick up. This is one of the co-op barricades that you need someone else to help you open, so you can actually middle click to ping it, hold for co-op, and wait for someone to come along and help you out. But hopefully this guy realizes that we're over here. If you just hold this and co-op, we'll be able to bash right through it, and it opens up a lot of shortcuts for you, which is nice. It does make noise, but now this doorway is open for us and we can freely move through here, which makes the map a little bit easier to traverse. We talked about the dangers of traps, but you can also disable them by throwing something at them. So when you have traps like this, you can throw a bottle, you can throw a brick, and you can destroy it for good. And this works for the lightning traps as well. You can completely disable them and get them out of your way. This here is the creme de la creme, the secret room. These are very good, and you want to get these every single time you find them. The way these work is it has a 2-button switch. Both buttons have to be pushed simultaneously in order for you to get in, and it has some of the best loot in the game. Incredible resources come from these. However, again, you need 2 people to open them. So you'll want to look around when you see these confidential doors with the 2 lights. They will have these switches here, which you can ping for your teammates to look for co-op, but you actually just hold this and you have to stay here, hold it. As long as both buttons are down, the door will open. You'll get your loot, which is really nice. So you want to make sure that you let people know that the secret door is here. Find the 2 buttons and then press them to get inside and get fat loot. They usually have a ton of antidotes, batteries, rig recharges, full heals, things like that. Very good. And sometimes they'll even have a master key, which is a lockpick that can be used multiple times. Threat levels, you'll see these white double doors. These just spawn enemies randomly, and it's their way of keeping an eye on you. It's kind of like the director program in Left 4 Dead. So you'll be able to see, enemies will come out of there. They'll see a flashing light, and you know an enemy's going to spawn. There's going to be plenty of payload opportunities and objectives you have to do in this on all maps. So for this one, you have to push the snitch into the torture chamber. So one person has to stand on it and push it. Note the middle of the screen. You see how the icon's going off repeatedly. I make a lot of noise when I do this. So if there's any enemies nearby, pushing this will grant their attention directly to you, and you just have to keep pushing it towards objectives. The next mechanic you're going to find for the police station level is the key mechanic. Two pieces to this. One is when the gate is locked, not only is there going to be a stop point here that stops the cart from moving too far backward. This is a checkpoint. You also will get clues for what key you need to open it. Make sure you hover over this until the top left shows that the key is here. And you'll find those inside bodies that are marked by the icons. You see how there's a heart icon on this chest? Pull the key out, go over, open the gate, and the next part, there'll be 3 keys. And there's gonna be more keys all over the level that you don't need. So you wanna make sure that you kind of get the right ones, get this open, and then start pushing the cart again and going around to the keys. Keep in mind, for any of these objectives where you need an object, only the person that got the object can complete the objective. So if someone grabbed the heart key to get the heart door open, only that person can open the door, but your objective in the top left will update, letting you know that you got the objective progressed, but that person has to be the one to open it, which in some cases, especially in pug groups, can be kind of tricky because people don't know that it has to be that person to open it. You can see the first gate that we run into here, we're gonna get to the checkpoint so it doesn't roll back into that. The star key is what we're looking for, and as we go around the level, we'll find tons and tons of different keys that aren't the correct one. If you grab the wrong one, you'll take health damage, it'll shock you, which is kind of rough, so just kind of be aware. Is that Wiener? You can see how this is the eyeball symbol key. We do not need this, or we don't know that we need it, that piece there. If anything goes on too long, you will get these question mark icons in the world that let you know that there's an objective nearby. Either someone runs by this to reveal it, or if you take too long, it will start to help you and let you know where the objectives are in the level. Sometimes you'll come across things that are locked with this little lock on it. In order to open this, you either need a master key or a lockpick. So we found a lockpick. Let's see what this looks like. So when you go up and you unlock this, it is just a skill check simulator. You hit these skill checks, and as you do, it'll open it up. If you hit the red, you'll take health damage, which I think can actually incapacitate you, but they're usually better loot once you open these up. So it's super useful to make sure you get these open. And again, why you want to open the secret doors, because sometimes you got a master key, which I think has infinite uses. You can just keep using it to unlock stuff over and over and over. We know we need diamond key. We found the diamond corpse. We're going to dig into his chest, get the key out, and then we're holding the key in our hand so that we can open the gate. We're the only ones that can do it while we have that key. And remember, again, you can look behind you while you're doing the objectives, so you can turn left and right with your mouse. You can also hold Q and E to look behind you, so I can see that enemy here while I'm doing the payload. I get this to the next door, and I can look around and see where things are, and I can run away if I feel like an enemy is coming towards me. And here we have the example of the trapped doors with whatever's going on there. You can see there's a red light here. If I were to open this directly, it would give me psychosis. So I have 2 options. I can either crouch and open it, or I could hold left click and then inch it open, and that won't trigger the trap. And then all you have to do is go to the side that is trapped and disable it, which is this right here next to the door. It's always gonna be on one side. You open this up and break it, and now it is no longer trapped, and you're good to go. If you ever get hit by the trap that gives you psychosis, you just spam left click, and you can help people break that as well, which is pretty nice. Then to finish this portion of the prison map, you just got to torture the snitch until they're dead by doing this objective, this like King of the Hill objective, while you're being tortured and pushed. This is the upgrade I was talking about, where you can kick enemies while they're attacking your teammates. Super useful, very necessary. And also, let me show you why the smoke grenade is so incredibly good. Put it down near an objective like this, and then just do the objective. And when they come, they'll be de-aggroed and they can't attack you. And so you'll just be able to sit here and do the objective. So let's lead him over the smoke bomb. Boom, he de-aggroes, and you can just sit on the objective. This is why I think the heal and the smoke bomb are so incredibly good. We should be able to just freely finish this because I have a fully upgraded smoke grenade. So while this just sits, he can't attack anybody. And boom, we're done. We finished the level, and we just have to escape and get back to the start, and we're done with this. Most levels will end this. In fact, all of them end this way. You get back to the very spawn, you hit the button, you wait a little bit, and then these will open, and you exit the level that way. Again, where the smoke bomb is very good. Place it down on the ground, and while you're waiting for this to open, you can just enter and exit, and you're good to go. Let's see if he gets grabbed here. Nope, these get opened. We step inside, and we're good. Now let's run over the next 2 maps so you're not caught off guard by any of the objectives you run into. For the fun park map, the first objective you'll get is you want to get to the ride. You want to pick up these hearts, and you'll need to complete a random set of games that exist in there. So you pick up these hearts as infinite projectiles, and you'll find these games all throughout the carnival that you have to complete by throwing it. When you throw things, keep in mind that it's basically instant, and it goes where your cursor goes, or where your cursor says. So you can very easily just aim directly at it and left click. Hold right click to aim it, left click to throw it, And then for this, you just need to come and collect all the tickets from each of the games and go put those in the main terminal, which is going to be in the root canal ride, which will open up the payload portion of this map. What's cool about this is these work just like normal projectiles. So if you run into traps like this that explodes when you get too close, or the poison traps, lightning traps, any of those, you can use these infinitely respawning hearts to destroy them. You just have to come back to the diner here in the map, labeled by diner, and you just come in here, get these hearts, and use them to complete the games, but you can also use them for destruction if you want. Next, you'll have a player requirement room. These exist on most maps. You'll have to kind of be aware of this. Anytime you see this console with pictures of these little icons, it means that everyone in this room, everyone in the lobby needs to be in the room at the same time so that you can press the button and activate it. Keep in mind that this won't activate if there's enemies that are aggroed or enemies that are in the room with you. So it may bug out like this. You have to figure out if there's an enemy outside or someone that's trying to get in or something like that. Once that goes away and they de-aggro, you'll be able to complete these pedestals. The next part of the fun ride map has this payload section. So you'll just want to push this along. As you get to checkpoints, you'll realize there are gates in the way. And then later on, there are going to be generators or water pressure pipes that aren't going to be up. So all you have to do for both of these, both this and the water pipes, is go to the obstacle that is blocking your path. In this case, it is this gate right here. And you'll have these little wires that take you to things you need to disable. So you see how there's 3 wires coming out of this. We have to follow these wires everywhere, all over the place, to find where they are being powered from. And once we find those, we'll be able to disable them, break them, and then we'll have that all completed and we'll be good to go. I still have hearts, so I can break that. So we get through these, we get to the end, and then you'll find where those things are, and you'll be able to break them down and get over with them. If you disable a trap, it will have a battery you can use for your flashlight or for your extra little battery here if you want. So just pick those up, and then you'll be able to keep moving. Once you get past the toothbrush blockades, you'll get to the water pipe portion. Just like the other objectives in this game, you have these 4 pipes that you want to follow, and as these branch out, they become more duplicated, and there's fake ones as well. If you try to put water pressure in the wrong pipe, you'll get damaged, just like in the prison map. So you want to take these, you need all 4 of these pipes activated. So you just start at the pipe, follow it all the way it goes, and you'll see exactly where it ends up. Let's jump down here. We can follow. We can see when this branches out. This goes to the pump. This is the pump for A, so you want to look at that. And then you'll see that when it goes down here, it splits, and there's duplicate yellow pipes that go in all directions. So you just have to follow the correct one all the way until the end where you find exactly where it is, and then turn that pipe, the correct pipe, on. You can see that this is going in there. Then you want to follow that and keep going and do that for all 4 pipes, and you'll be through this obstacle. If you ever get incapacitated, you'll be down like this and bleeding out. You can use lean to kind of turn faster. You just need a teammate to come pick you up. If you do pass away, then someone has to use a syringe in order to revive you if you're not out of the game just yet. And to finish out this portion of the level, you just have to push this all the way through. But again, we do have the smoke bomb, which means we can kind of just put this down, let him trigger it. And once he does, then we just finish the objective. So again, smoke bomb OP. Then once that's done, you're all finished. You can just open this up all the way. These will open, and you'll just got to get to the end of the level and escape, just like the other trial. As I escape, I like to mark the checkpoints, the doors that you have to go through in order to get out of the level. So as people are leaving, it can be very confusing to leave the level. So I mark the points where you need to get to, like a little checkpoint there. Wiener Wallace has made an appearance. And then that way people know exactly where they can go in order to get out when they're running backwards. The last subsection for the fun park map is going to be this little, like, more of a farm setup here. So you're gonna have to do a couple things here, like pick up little mannequins and grind them up and move around and open gates to power them and get through some major objectives. It's not quite as complicated as the last one, but it does have some kind of little bits and pieces you have to be aware of. The first section is opening these gates. They'll be labeled for you. You just got to follow these little wires that come from this main room. So we'll go through gate 1, gate 2, gate 3, and you just have to go through these and complete the objectives that follow. Much like the first section, they'll end up in these little disarm things that you want to break open and get rid of the power on so that the gate can be opened, which usually will open the next gate, which then you follow the wires again to get that broken open, which opens the next gate, and you get towards the end of the level. And once you've powered the last gate of the 4, it'll be the exit. You hit the button, you exit, just like you did in the other trials. And lastly, let's talk about the orphanage map. There's gonna be some repeat mechanics here, like generators that we learned on the prison map, but there are gonna be some new ones as well. The first subsection of the map, you have to go up to the broadcast station and broadcast outward. You'll see a little animation that plays here, then you have to go up to the broadcast station and turn that on. Then you need to turn the receivers on in the dorms. When you get a map active on this, it'll randomize a little bit on which dorms become active, but once they do become active, You can then look at this map to see where the dorms are. You can see that we have girls' dorm, we have room 6, and the infants' dorm. We have to go into those dorms and do the frequency analyzer, which you've seen in many horror games, which look like this. So if it's not completed, it'll look like this. You just want to come up to it, tinker with it, and then all you have to do for this is use the 3 dials. Click and hold on a dial and then rotate your mouse in order to change whatever the aspect is, whether it's amplitude, just make it as tall as the red one that you're looking at, make the frequency match the red one you're looking at, and then change the phase so it lines up as well. And once you've got that, boom, it's done. And you have to do that for all of the receivers. And for the 3rd subsection of this map, you will see this mechanic as well. Once you're done with all of those, come down to the reception desk, activate this to call for the return of classes, and you'll be on to the next part. Just hit this button and you're good to go. Next, you'll head into the classrooms to unlock there's gonna be projectors in here that you have to utilize in order to turn on the projectors to teach the children, as this guy won't leave me alone. So you grab these projectors from the projector room and you have to go to the classrooms to activate them and turn them on. So the only way to do that, we disabled this dude, come in here, grab these, and the only way to get them into the classrooms is through these rotating doors. So you place the reel down inside that rotating door, press the button, it'll rotate to the inside of the classroom, go around into the inside of the classroom and hit the button and bring it out, and then just go put it down on the projector, and you'll be good to go. And you'll note to learn this mechanics and make sure you know it, you can't leave this while holding one of the projectors, one of the reels. You have to go to this door, which is the same here, activate it, put it on the outside. Someone else has to take it and take it to the classroom, and this is how you get these out. Usually what I like to do is have one person go and put these all out inside of the rotaries and have people go to the classrooms, flip them around and do it. So whoever has these out, you can just kind of flip, 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 get them, drop them down on the ground right outside of the projector room. So you hit this button, grab it, and then just go around and place them inside and have people go into the classrooms in order to deliver them onto the projectors. Once you're inside, just grab the reel, go over to the projector, place it inside, and you're on to the next part. Now we've moved on to the second segment of the map, which is the chapel. You'll go from the lobby area over into the chapel to finish this part, and there is another section of this map that you'll get on a different level. You'll want to come through here and get into the chapel. This usually requires everyone to be inside of it in order to activate it, but you're going to be able to activate this and get some cool opportunities to dismember people, as is the Outlast way. Another Wiener Man will appear here, and I've very strategically chosen this camera position to hide it, and then you'll just have to cut off his legs. But first, you need to power up generators, which is the same that you did in the prison map. Then you'll need to find keys like you did the prison map. Once you have those keys in possession, you can come up here and you can unlock the saws in order to saw off this poor Wiener Man the Wiener Man's legs, because he doesn't need those anymore. Those are overrated. You do that just by grabbing the handles and going forward and back over and over until the legs fall off. Again, the smoke bomb here is super useful. Once the legs are cut off, you're through to the next part of the map, which you'll recognize this as the requirement for people in the room button. Once everyone's in the room, you can hit the button, which activates the final part. The crazy lady, Mama, will come through this door and attack you, and you just have to get past her and get to the end of level and exit, just like the last 3 trials. Remember, on any map, they usually will light up the exit signs, which take you back to the start. So once you've begun the process of trying to exit, just follow the signage. There's really good signage. It's subtle enough where it fits into the level, but it is there if you know to look for it, so just be aware. And the last subsection of the orphanage map is going to be this more residential style of the orphanage. You'll have to start by feeding the children bleach, as you do. So you'll have to go into the orphanage cafeteria, come up here to the tub where you need to pour the bleach, and it'll ask you to turn this on and then go around the map finding jugs that you have to carry and go pour into this, and then you'll have to feed the children the bleach. But it's pretty spread out. You actually just have to, it says that 2 bottles is that way, 2 bottles is this way. So you grab the bleach, you pour it into the soup container, so you make bleach body part soup, and then you're on to the next part. Again, the reason why I call them subsections is you will be revisiting the basement from the chapel that we had before, and you'll still have other things that are very reminiscent of the other areas, and they are actually the same in general. So we're gonna walk over here, we're gonna put this trap down so the guy behind me doesn't kill me, since we're stuck by this guy anyways. And this part does usually take quite a while. This is what the bleach bottle looks like, and when you pick it up, it is 2-handed, so you will have to kind of walk your way back. On the challenge modes, like in Program X, this section can really take a hot minute. But keep in mind that while you're holding the 2-handed objects, you can still vault, open doors, close doors, do things like that. but to do something else, you will still need to drop the bottle and carry on elsewhere. But this part is a bit of a doozy, so just kind of go around, find all the bleached bottles, and take them back to the soup container. Since I was here, I want to talk about this guy as well. He's kind of like this musclehead that swings and fights, but you'll notice that his eyes are covered. He's actually blind. So if you don't make any noise, he can't find you. Even if you're not in the dark, you can kind of stand near him. So just remember that when you're with this guy, particularly with the vest and the covered eyes, he's completely blind, so it's a little bit easier to avoid, but he can hear you or if you get very close to him. The last thing I'll leave you with is the final progression element into the game, which is going to be the escape mechanism. So you can actually go and escape this. To do this, you do have to do the program X, which is the final program, the 4th level once you've unlocked all 3 trials and completed them, and you'll be able to add yourself to the numbers of those being reborn. And you actually will get tickets for this once you complete 10 of the program X, the final level. You will get your chance at escape, which will allow you to unlock some cool cosmetics and things like that. So you'll want to go here and finish these up and get all those unlocked. And that is going to be it. That's Outlast Trials. Have fun. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content. Link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.